I'm going to examine the transmitter module in more detail now. The top screw is a countersunk one and is fairly long. The bottom screw is a flat-headed one and is much shorter. Now we turn it over and withdraw the top. And the top comes completely away. That's the battery holder with the battery contacts. That's the microphone, looking suspiciously like the transducer in the receiver module. This is the push to talk and the mechanism which releases the aerial, which should spring up. But this one is very stiff. I think it's got a little bit gunged up. It actually squeaks. So it needs a bit of attention, that one. The aerial disappears down behind the battery compartment there. This is the PA, the output module. This is the transmit strip, starting with the microphone input going at this end. Crystal oscillator modulator, multiplier strip, final output stage, and then this little bit of wire here. This little bit of wire takes it to the aerial. So we're going to have a bit more detailed look at the transmit strip now. The transmit strip, it's just a printed circuit board that actually slots in like that. But first of all, you have to undo this, you have to desolder this connection here, and I'll do that now. Now the aerial connection has been desoldered from the hairpin loop there. To make life a little bit easier, I'm going to desolder two more things, and that's these DC power connections, that one and that one. And we can unplug the microphone and we can move that out the way. I'll just desolder those connections now. And note the charger input connections. So first of all, I'm going to unsolder the red one, and I'm going to attempt to do this while looking through the camera. Right, the red one's off, and now we'll just solder the black one. We've got that disconnected, but it'll be a wonder if this thing ever works again. Before I take a look at the transmit strip, I want to take a look at why the aerial is not popping up easily. So to do that, I'm going to undo that screw there and that screw there, and then pop the aerial up and tilt the thing out. Don't undo that screw. That's the one that fixes the micro switch in, and there's a nut on the underside. If you undo that screw, the nut will drop off. So let's have a go. I'm going to undo these screws now. Well, that was easier said than done, on account of the one of these pillars coming out of the plastic. I accidentally undid that screw, but anyway, you can withdraw the whole lot. What I should do is desolder this, but I can't be bothered at the moment, so what I want to get at is the mechanism here. So with the aerial fully extended, you can push that little mechanism, which is showing signs of corrosion. You can push it round, and I suppose if I could get that end off, which I don't seem to be able to do, then I could withdraw the whole thing. But I just want to show the mechanism. See, there's a spring there, a coil spring thing, and it's attached to the end of the aerial, and there's a clip. This is where the aerial connection is connected to. So as the aerial flies up, pulled up by that spring, I don't know whether that's showing very well, the spring, when you push it down, it goes the one way. The spring pulls the aerial up, and it comes up and up and up and up and clicks into the connection. But this is all very stiff, so I think what it is, that's been greased. This feels a bit greasy, but it's stiff grease, so I think that channel there has been greased, and it's feeling a bit rubbish. It's where the thing broke off, so that should go in there. Oh, the rest of it's broken off, look. The plastic's had it, I'm afraid. There's not a lot to see on the transmitter until you remove this tin can. The microphone comes in here, and you've got the microphone amplifier. Then through that hole is the trimmer where you adjust the transmit frequency. The crystal, all the multiplier stages are in the tin can. This tape is original, and it emerges out of the tin can at the final PA stage, and the aerial takeoff is there. Now the tin can is removed by these screws, which I'll do next. This is that's the phase modulator adjustment, and these are the multiplier adjustments. All of this can be lined up with an ordinary test meter. There's no need for any complicated equipment. And these are the final trimmers on the final multiplier and output stage. So that's the printed circuit board. Just in case you ever need to know if you've lost some tracks or something like that. That's what the printed circuit board looks like. I'm going to attempt to undo these screws with the wrong size screwdriver. Fighting the autofocus on the camera. Off comes the tin can, and there we have the transmit strip. Right, 12 megahertz crystal, and it's multiplied a total of 36 times to get to 70 sems. That's the crystal frequency adjustment, so you can get it bang on frequency. All this gubbins here is the mic amp, with the mic coming in here. I can't find a circuit of this. I've got a full service manual somewhere, but I can't find the circuit. Trimmer's broken, so this has been a little bit battered. These carbon resistors, they were terrible for going out of spec. So if the rig's not performing right, it's probably the carbon resistors. So that's the phase modulator coil. That coil has to be adjusted to give you the maximum audio. Then it's multiplied up 3 times to 72 megs, and then another 3 times to 216 megs, and then it's doubled from 216 megs to 432, and finally it goes to a common base PA transistor. This is I think a 2N3866, and by the time you get up here it's just hairpin loops. Notice the inductances gradually reduce as you go up. So let's just turn it round so you can have another look from the other side. These tantalums must have been state of the art in those days. It's quite surprising. Okay, this example probably wasn't made in 1964. This is probably a much later one, but what were they using in 1964? Did they have tantalums? It's interesting. And this silicon rubber that all the components stand on little silicon rubber sleeving, bits of silicon rubber sleeving. This must have been a real pig to assemble by hand. And I didn't realise silicon rubber sleeving had been around that long. Every single component seems to have it, even the transistors there. So what's the lineup? I can't tell. What's that transistor? SX407. Oh, is it? Can't see. But there's the output bandpass filter, a loosely coupled pair of coils. That's the final multiplier, I think. Or is it? I don't know. Without the circuit, this is just pure guesswork. Okay, so... Ah, right, okay. Would that be 36 megs? That's 72. That 216? I don't know. Anyway, we're up in the hairpin loops and trimmers region here. You probably don't need to know all that, do you? It's got a number on there. You had to tune these with the tin can on. They were, because the tin can would affect the tuning, so you had to tune it with the tin can on, tune it from the bottom. Well, that's the transmitter. Now these microphones, obviously, you know, with policemen and probably smokers speaking into these over the years, dust ingress, water ingress, you know, condensation, all the rest of it. The microphones used to go incredibly bad. You know, some of them would sound crisp, some of them would hardly work at all. So if you've got one that you can't get much audio out of, it's most probably the microphone. And I've got some examples that are real horror stories. I'll show those in a moment. See, this one looks a little bit crusty, doesn't it? But that's not the worst. Now this one's a real horror show. Look at the crust on that. I mean, where does the audio get in? Problem is the policemen have to be out in the rain, so these rigs are not particularly waterproof. And what with the batteries as well, they did to suffer a little bit of corrosion. So that's pretty much all I can say about the transmitter. I've now got to stick all this lot back together. I wonder if I can do that. Reassembly, as they say, is a reversal of the above process. So, having put the cover on and put the screws back in, and you locate and connected up the wires again, you locate the PCB in the gaps, like so, and put the microphone back in its clip. The tape there, that tape was originally to hold this microphone cable in place. We'll just place it down here, out of the way of that, because that is where the foot on the lid goes on. So as you can see, when the battery's in place, there's not a lot of empty space. And finally, take the lid and see that foot there fits in that gap there. Then you take the lid, pop it on. Well, they always say pop it on, don't they? Things are never quite as simple as they seem. Right, there you go. Lid on, screws in, job done. Enjoyed this anyway. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, tell me why. Give me a thumbs down and tell me why.